Many a times life doesn't scream at us, it whispers. And that particular whisper, it might sound like exhaustion, restlessness, or even your achievement or your success. It doesn't feel like success anymore. Well, we call it the universal nudge. That subtle pull asking us to slow down, maybe realign, and remember that our worth isn't measured by how busy we are or how much hustle we are able to do. Listeners, welcome to this episode of the Cosmic Confluence podcast. I'm your host Sana, and today we are joined by someone who has walked that tightrope between chaos and clarity. An emergency medicine physician who lived the grind and found her way back through health. Now she teaches high performing professionals why trying harder isn't the answer because the problem isn't time, it is bandwidth. Her philosophy, health, energy, bandwidth, decisions, freedom flips everything we have been told about success. So, we are going to dive deep into that today in a way that is honest, it is practical, and yes, it may be a bit comfortable too. So, if you have been feeling maxed out and you are still asking yourself, why am I not there yet? This conversation might just be your universal nudge, listeners. And listeners, to help with that, we have our incredible guest, Maureen Gibbons. Maureen, welcome to the show, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's try to understand here. That's something in the intro which really I think our listeners will be always like they'll be curious to know that the problem isn't time, but it is the bandwidth. Now, you help to understand like how we are trying to solve a bandwidth problem with time solutions, and I think it is a powerful distinction. So, can you unpack that for us, Maureen?
Sure, as well as I can, because even as I was finishing the final edits on the book, I realized that it was only a couple months before that I understood the word margin. I always knew that I needed to create more bandwidth.
Okay.
So when I talked to one of my colleagues one morning, he came in to relieve me, and he was actually upper level management that still worked clinical shifts. And he came in and said, and I looked at him and I said, I know I could be a better doctor if I had more bandwidth. I just can't, I just needed to breathe. And I didn't understand at the time. And of course, I was looking for time solutions, right? I had shift goals. Every time I would go into a shift, I would set goals and I would set, we're goal setters, we're high achievers. But I'm also very in tune with those nudges from the universe. Those thoughts don't come from me. I'm not that good. So, the difference in like, I don't need another planner, I don't need another calendar. I needed space to breathe, to create these visions that distill into goals and then go into daily actions. If you do it the other way, you just end up playing whack a mole and never getting anywhere. You just keep hitting the problem that pops up, doing what's urgent but not important because you
Yeah.
can't really see what's important.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. So, Maureen, when someone says that, and I have also myself said a lot of times, I do not have time for that, or I just need to manage my bandwidth, or I need better time management. What's actually happening in their body and mind? Like how it is translating into the physical realm.
Mm. So we run. And I personally, I can just talk from my own history. I run on chaos. When you said from chaos to clarity, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the journey right there.
Okay.
Chaos is my wheelhouse. I mean, I was a level 2 trauma center night doc for over a
Yeah.
decade. And that is chaos. And that is management of chaos and trying to bring that snow globe into something linear that can be translated into patient outcomes. I mean, it's a very high stakes environment. in that running at that level, it's redlining. And I didn't see it. I wasn't burned out when I left medicine. When I left clinical medicine, I wasn't burned out at all. I loved my job. I loved doing what I did. I mean, that's kind of why I don't call it burnout. It's overload because we willingly take it on. We love the things we do, but we're still redlining. So one thing I realized probably 5 or 6 years ago was that I hadn't been looking at my finances super well. And I started to peel that back. But that never really got me anywhere. I mean, it did, right? Like we started to save and we started to do those kind of things. But until I got my health in order, and not perfect, right? We're never going to be perfect. There's one finish line in this game, and I hope I don't hit it for a very long time. And but getting your health in order, at least getting on the track where you're no longer being run by those that we call it food noise. But
Yeah.
I found out writing my book, it's not really food noise. It's an internal voice of like that ticker tape at the bottom of the TV. That's like when you're watching the news or watching sports where it's just giving you all the stats. Oh, should you really be eating that? Should you really be doing this? Look at your calendar. You don't even have any white space. You don't have this. And it's just this constant. And it's not even from people say, oh, it's from societal expectations. No, it's not. It's from yours.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. And I think it is fascinating, because um like I think it really flips the script here, or maybe the narrative that for this particular state of mind, or for my current situation, everyone else or any other external factors are responsible. But I think it really calls for that self introspection that would make us to think that maybe I am the reason why this is happening.
I love that because
Mm.
even in writing the book, because of course I used AI to bounce ideas off of when I was like stuck or, that was the beauty of it. It's like there was no writer's block. You're like, well, here's what I want to write about. And I don't know how to put it on paper.
Okay.
Here's an outline. And then we go back and forth. That it was really fun writing a book that way. My first book was written like all me. And I was like, I'd get stuck, I'd get blocked. But one of the things that kept coming back in AI is it kept saying, "Well, you're burned out because of what's expected of you." And I kept
Mhm.
having to say, "No, this isn't I don't care what other people think. I don't wear designer shoes. I wear running shoes most days." And
It
I don't care about I mean, I do care about what I care about because I care about it. So once we bring internal, number 1, it gives you some semblance of control, right? So when you're working from an internal locus of control, you're like, no, I can make change. I'm not trying to keep up with my neighbors. I like my house because of its functionality. I love the way it looks too, right? But not because I care about what other people think. I love the way my house is. It's pretty. It feels like home. Doesn't that feel different than saying, oh, I want to keep up with my neighbors?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. It does. And since you are coming from you know, a background, where health is actually the first, you know, it's by default, what exactly is important. You also say that it health creates the capacity for everything else. But I think right now we are kind of overlooking it. We are not thinking everything from health perspective. We may be thinking from, how much we can gain from this, how much we can get from that. Um, and I think that could be in a world, because of like in a world that often treats health as just another checkbox. So, in that scenario, Maureen, how do we begin to shift from this survival mode to actually building a real energetic bandwidth?
The first thing, there's a couple different ways.
Okay.
The first thing is to breathe. I mean, I'm not a breath work person.
Uh,
I'm not one to sit and meditate for prolonged periods of time. I absolutely should. I get it. We're getting there. But for those of us who redline, it's literally taking a moment. This morning, I spent 2 hours working on
Mhm.
my vision and goals. That's
Okay.
all I get. That's big for me. I mean, who has time to do that? But nobody. And that's part of the issue because that's part of health. What do I want my health to look like? What do I want my what is what I call it health freedom. I help people work toward health, time, and income freedom. And
Okay.
health
Okay.
have to be on the road to health freedom first to get to that time and income freedom. And then the flywheel starts and it starts going. One of my coaches calls it bank accounts and belt buckles, right? As
Oh,
your
wow.
belt buckle goes down, your bank account goes up. That's just how it works. So
Oh, okay.
looking at that from that perspective, my very first successful business coach said to me, if you have your health, you have 99 problems. If you don't have your health, you have one. And I watched
Oh,
that happen with my grandmother when she passed.
okay. Okay.
It was a slow decline and it was all because of metabolic disease.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I started looking and I got plenty of metabolic disease in my own personal history.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
read the book for that because we don't need to get into that here. We're on the track to taking care of a lot of those things, managing a lot of those things, but cleaning up your diet, believe it or not, isn't the first thing to do. It's the second. The first is to get rid of the habits that stand between you and what I call your happy. My first book is called Happy First. And
Okay.
removing the things that stand between you and that energy that is the same energy that formed the universe. It's the same soul energy that courses through all of us. It's
Yep.
removing the vices. If you come home and you drink the 2 glasses of wine, which is also a half a bottle, as an FYI, you could do that every night because you quote unquote deserve it. No, you deserve health freedom. You deserve
Oh, take them here.
as a human to feel amazing in the morning. I don't like the word deserve because it's acts of entitlement to me. But
Yep.
creating a life of health freedom where you get up, you put on your clothes, you feel energetic for the day, you feel ready for the day, you don't dread the day, that's health freedom.
Hmm. I think that also comes from a point of gratitude because, as you specifically said that, that this word deserve, it kind of, gives that vibe of entitlement. But I also agree because um, it should come from a point of gratitude that, I am thankful because I get to wake up another day.
Yeah.
I get to feel hungry and have a good meal. I get to have a good
Yes.
dinner. I get to eat with my family, with my loved ones present
Yes.
around me. So, yeah, I think that is really profound that we often overlook.
And doesn't that feel better when
Yes.
you're not, oh, I'm hungry. What do I eat? What do I do? Oh, I'm hungry. I still have the opportunity to live in this physical body, feel that hunger, and have the mental bandwidth to decide what to do with that hunger. You're not just reaching for the closest fast thing.
Right. And let's get to this hustle illusion also, Maureen, because
Mm.
um here some skeptics would argue that hustle and overload, they are just the price of ambition. And here is a kind of reframe that often my father he says that um the joy, the happiness of having a holiday or a vacation or a weekend comes when you are actually busy throughout the weekdays. I used to initially completely agree with that, but right now I feel that maybe it could be framed in a bit different way. But in for this skepticism, I think that
Mhm.
bandwidth expands when we push our limits. So what would you say to those who believe pressure creates growth?
Well, I don't disagree. I think that's interesting because you struck something in me when you said that because I don't
Mhm.
disagree that our expansion is you need pressure to expand, right? Like a balloon. That
Yeah,
balloon's
yeah,
not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
expand unless we push. But I think how we push is the difference. If you're trading time for money, pushing on the hamster wheel, just pushing, not in a way that truly expands yourself and the balloon. When you
Mm.
push in that way, it diminishes you while expanding the balloon. What if you could do both?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And is there ever a healthy version of hustle? I think you will be the perfect one to answer because you also, like you said, you love chaos, but do you have like a structured way of managing that and navigating through that mess or chaos? Like a framework or any step by step?
So lots of them. There are a bunch of them in the book, actually, because my brain. I joke that my brain is a snow globe. My husband. I don't know if you've ever seen the book about that men are waffles and women are spaghetti. I get it; it's stereotypical, but
It
my
is.
brain is a straight up snow globe. I have a bunch of stuff going on, so I have to create external systems to keep
Mhm.
myself kind of in check. Otherwise, I'm going to go off, do crazy things, and never finish anything, and start 500 things and finish one. And that's I got to keep myself in line a little bit. So I have to
Mhm.
paint lines on the road, is the way I say it. So to manage that chaos, though, I think it's channeling it, number 1. I do think there is a healthy hustle. There are seasons.
Mhm.
Right now, the first 3 years in my medical practice, we built a certain way. I just literally burned it down, and we're building in a different way that's a lot healthier for everyone in the practice. It's a lot healthier for our patients. It's less expensive for our patients, so it's all a good model, but in order to do that, we had to create different systems. So I think when you're creating those systems, it gets extremely hectic because somebody just threw confetti in the air and you're trying to sort it out by color. That's
Yeah.
hectic
Yeah.
before it lands. Right? That's the goal before it lands.
Mhm.
And so you've got to create those systems. So once those systems are in place, then you just modify the systems. Then you start to get the bandwidth. But guess what? Something else is going to break. You're going to want to build something else. You're going to want to write a book. You're going to want to create something else. Then you're gonna have to ramp that up again. That's the healthy hustle part. It's like a bodybuilder going on stage. They can't stay lean all year long. It's
Mhm.
detrimental to their body, it's detrimental to their health.
Yeah.
But to achieve that goal, or an Ironman athlete, right? To train for that Ironman, you're not going to maintain that level of training all the time. You've got to what we
Mhm.
call periodize. I was an endurance coach for a very long time,
Okay.
and I still do a little bit here and there, but
Mhm.
you have to periodize your training because you have to recover, rest and digest,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Fight or flight, rest and digest. You've got to honor both parts of that. So there is a healthy hustle because that's what makes us win.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that is something, I also have realized over the years that um, just going and going, doing and doing and doing, I think it doesn't serve the purpose. I realized it unfortunately very late, but I really, really value the importance of taking that rest. It's once again, I shouldn't use the word, but let's just say it's much deserved rest.
Well, okay. So let me call you on this because you said you
Okay.
realized very late. I
Uh-huh.
shifted at age 48. So for the listeners, because I never want them to think it's too late.
Yeah.
I am 51, about to be 52, and entering into my 3rd career. So,
Wow.
it's not late. Let's
It
keep
is
going.
not.
And
It is
I
not.
tell people, because I have people, "Oh, it's just too late for me to start working on my health." Even my dad asked me, when he
Mhm.
first started on this health journey with me, he said, "I'm 70. Do you think it really
Mhm.
matters? The men in my family die at like 82." And I said, "Yes, maybe we can not die at 82. Maybe we could do this differently." And, since then he's down 80 pounds. He's got much less visceral abdominal fat. I mean, everything is better.
Wow.
And I mean, that's a gift in itself, right? I mean, that's
It
that's worth
is. It is.
that's worth every risk. If I can have 5 more years with my dad, how amazing is that?
It is. Exactly. It is super, super, super. And that is something I also have, credit to all the conversations and all the guests. I have actually started my father telling us that it's not late. It's not late. I mean, you can. There can be a shift in mindset. There can be a shift in way you look at the circumstances, or maybe it's your physical, your health, or your emotional health, or even if things are going bad, just maybe for a while stop watching them and
Yes.
start to look at things from a positive perspective, not the toxic positivity, but actually from a very mindful, pragmatic positivity.
Oh, absolutely. My dad actually, oddly enough, used to tell me, "You live in a fantasy world." I'm like, "We all do. I hate to tell you, we're all creating our own."
Yes,
And even having gratitude that we have technology that I can speak to you in India, right?
exactly.
I can watch the news across the world. We have technology for that. I don't because I do insulate myself from a lot of that because it's not something I can control, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awareness versus immersion are two very different things. So I have to monitor the inputs. Again, it's what do you eliminate to create that bandwidth? I can't have 20% of my brain space be world news. I just can't. I have too many things to do.
Right. And before we wrap up, as we conclude, I think let's definitely explore your book. It is called Freedom to Shift. And as we are, I think we would definitely realize that, freedom isn't a distant dream. It is here, but it's like, hidden beneath all the overload and all this mess. So how do we start recognizing those small windows of freedom in everyday life, Maureen? Are there any like practices or any kind of signals that we can identify?
I think the best practice to implement is your evenings because protecting your sleep is so critically important
Oh,
and I'm not perfect at this. This is a work in progress. That,
okay.
for example, I sleep by 10, which means I stop working, I stop reading productivity things at 8. So I stop
Okay.
eating by 7, stop working at 8, asleep at 10, ideally, right? That's ideally. There have been times where I'm up at
Yes.
9:30 getting work done, which is but again, it disrupts my sleep. So the very first thing you can implement is protect your sleep, protect your time, because imagine what it feels like to wake up with a better day tomorrow.
True. That is so true. That is, and I'm personally vouching for this, listeners, because I've felt the changes not only in physically manifesting, but emotionally, mentally as well, in the quality of my work, in the quality of, let's say, quote unquote deliverables, but in quality of my interactions and conversations and understanding, even if it's a very toxic or a stressful situation. I think sleep is something that I think right now, um, I think it's number one. It's really connected to health. So I think it's the number one priority that, we all should look into. And this is not only for a specific generation, Maureen. I think for every one of us.
Agree.
Super, super. So before we wrap up, Maureen, if listeners, they would like to go and check out your book, Freedom to Shift, and also listen to your podcast, what would be the best medium?
The best way to get to me is shift with DrMoe, DrMoe.com. That gets you to everything I have.
Super, super. So I'll have all the links in the show notes. So listeners, just go to your favorite podcast platform, search for Cosmic Confluence, get this episode in there, and refer to the show notes to connect with Maureen. And if I can, let's see if I can summarize. I think um this conversation, it got me to understand that maybe the universe doesn't nudge us toward more, it nudges us toward enough. We
Mm.
do chase success, but I think what we are really craving is spaciousness. That freedom, that kind that lets us breathe, that gives us the freedom to breathe, create, and be. So, Maureen, thank you so much. I think your journey, your insights, it's a message that health isn't a side project; it is the foundation for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
So, to all the listeners, keep tuning into Cosmic Confluence. Do subscribe to us, leave a review, share this episode because that keeps the wheels running at Cosmic Confluence. And until then, this is your host, Sana, signing off.